Yo, what up, though? This is your boy T. Wilson. This is the inaugural episode of The Unusual Suspects, as this is the show where you can score points for making points. And my unusual suspects of today is my man Derek Below of DB Unlimited TV. What's up there, Derek?
Yo, how's everything?
All right. And I've got Spirit G of the Hoopla Show from the G-Spot Podcast Network. What up, though, Spirit?
What up, man? What up?
Finally, we get on at the same time. We've been talking about each other on each other's shows for a long time. But now I finally get some get back. Anyway, so also I got my man Latone Hart from the 730 Show. What up, though?
Man, I'm not taking my pills and I'm eating catfish. I'm a mongrel, nigga. I'm a mongrel.
And last but certainly not least, from the Sky Shout Radio Podcast, my man Murray Riley Jr. What up, though, Murray?
What up?
All right, so this is the show again where you score points for making points. Derek, you still there? Looks like he disappeared, man. What's up with that? What is this dude doing?
You went to go make a sandwich.
All right, we're going to get this started, man. We're on today's show for the first round. We're going to touch on some topics that's hot in the news. This episode, I am subtitling D-Roof is on fire, in reference to Dylan Roof, the guy who shot up the church in South Carolina. That is going to be the most talked about topic on today's show. But for this first round, I'm going to try to get around to some other topics so that we can touch on and let everybody get an opportunity to speak on a variety of topics. I'm going to start with you, Mr. Spirit G, because this is your expertise.
Basketball.
What was more impressive, LeBron's performance in the NBA Finals or the Golden State Warriors' dream season? Go.
For me, it was definitely the Golden State Warriors' dream season, only because, first of all, LeBron didn't win shit. Although he did play well, you got to go with the winner. I got to stick with the winner, as well as the fact that we're talking about the entire season and not just the run in the playoffs or just the run in the finals. I'm looking at the entire aspect of the season and the fact that they did it with a rookie coach. They did it with players who are not really proven. I mean, you didn't know who Draymond Green was before the beginning of this. Before this season. They have a lot of role players that, kind of stepped it up a little bit. And, we know LeBron. We know what LeBron can do. But as far as the overall aspect of it, I got to go with Golden State and what they did and the improbable run.
So, Tone, what you think?
I agree, man. We know what LeBron is, man. LeBron is LeBron. LeBron's a beast. They did the analytics. If you add him to any team, you can add about 25 to 30 wins to that team. Not surprised with LeBron. But Golden State, Curry hit 98 three-pointers in the playoffs by himself. I mean, that's ridiculous. And they won a championship with no inside scoring. That's very impressive. Very impressive.
Derek Below, what's your thoughts, man?
Man, of course, LeBron is the best player on the planet, although those are the best do get hated on, like him and Kobe. But it's hard for LeBron to beat the Warriors because the Warriors was playing as one. And he was a one-man versus a whole team playing as one, so it's almost an insanity equation to think he's going to ever win that against those guys in that hurt situation with his key players out. Nobody could, draw the double team on him and leave anybody open. It was always, everybody knew it was going to go to LeBron every time.
So what was more impressive, Murray, LeBron's performance in the finals or the Golden State Warriors' dream season?
I have to give it up to Steph Curry and the Splash Brothers for pulling this one off with LeBron doing his thing as he always does. He tried to be a one-man gang by himself, and it just wasn't in the cards for him to do this time. And hopefully we can get a cast next year, and he could probably try to pull it off next year. I hope so, but I doubt he can do that. Let's see.
So you think the Warriors can repeat?
I think they can repeat if they can maintain the team. They might need one or two other pieces that they could use on the bench and some guys that can come off the bench and score a little more. Klay Thompson had some problems with fouls during the course of the finals, but I think if they got one more good shooter, they will be okay. Iguodala did a good job, but I think he needs somebody to compliment him.
Spirit, do you think they can repeat?
I think they can. I think anybody can. I don't think they will. I just think that there were too many variables that probably won't happen again. I mean, they didn't really – look at who they played. They played New Orleans. They played Memphis, which I thought was their toughest matchup. and then they play Houston. So I mean, they really, as far as the West being a powerhouse, they really didn't have to play the most powerful teams to me in the West. So I think that
Hold on. He knocked off. He's the first player to knock off every other member of All NBA team.
Okay.
You can't get better.
Well, you already think that the West is whack anyway in your conversation.
Good point.
So it's not even really. I mean, OKC didn't even make the playoffs. I mean, it's not to take anything away from what they did. I'm just saying that you're talking about if this were to happen with everybody healthy and everybody in the playoffs again, that's going to be very tough. I don't think it'll happen again, but that's just me.
Latono, can he repeat?
No, because I think it's much harder to fight with the belt than it is to be a challenger. Also, they got extremely lucky. They didn't have any significant injuries all year. Plus, every team they faced lost their point guard. They didn't have to face a starting point guard through the whole playoffs. That's extremely lucky, like when Tim gets some. I mean, it really is.
Good point. Hey, Derek Below, what you think? Can he repeat?
Man, it's almost like a 20% chance, man, because, I mean, you can't count out the Spurs. You can't count out Cleveland. You can't count out, Houston and Atlanta. And like you said, all those guys, man, they all had point guards hurt, major people in their team hurt. I mean, I don't know, man. I think they got through a good year, man, if any, because they didn't have to play a full staff team through the whole playoffs.
Well, let's move on to something a lot more serious. South Carolina, as we all know, we had a tragic event there. There was 9 people murdered inside the church by a young kid named Dylan Roof. Derek Below, I'll let you kick it off. What was the AME Church massacre an attack on black people or an attack on Christianity?
I'll say it like this: it's kind of like a double entendre because it was a black church and it was a Christian church. Now the catch is, it's kind of a win-win for both those people who like those arguments. But I mean, Dylan is a terrorist because he said he did want to start a race war, and oddly enough, Martin Luther King was labeled a domestic terrorist by the government, and he didn't even want to start a war. So it's kind of like a however you view it kind of topic,
Hey, Murray, jump on in, man. Do you think that was an attack on black people or an attack on Christianity?
I think this was an attack on black people. It wasn't an attack on Christianity this time. This guy had a motive. This guy had a plan. He walked into the church and participated in Bible study, and at the end of that, he decided to kill everybody. So there was nothing about this situation that was pretty, but that's just how it works. You got some people that thought the situation would be okay, but as far as what was going to happen in the end, you had the judges talking about this kid was a troubled kid, but as far as I was concerned, he was a murderer from the jump. Right now, the state is in turmoil. You have two sides of the state in turmoil. Black folks in the state want the flag gone. White folks in the state want the flag to stay up. So this kid wanted a race war. He got one in some sense because you have a state that's divided. And then you have all these political folks trying to make a difference in it. But what they say is not making any sense. You got folks out here making stupid comments in light of 9 people being shot and killed.
All right. Well, let me ask you this. Derek brought something interesting up. Do you think he's a terrorist?
I would consider him a terrorist because what he done was too slick. And the way he went about it was very slick. And how he did it, terrorists plan and plot stuff. But when they unravel or unveil what they're going to do, it's in your face. What more can you say?
All right, Latone, what more can you say? You think it was an attack on black people or an attack on Christianity?
Even though Dylan Roof had black friends and he owned a black lab and his favorite song was Black Steel in the Hour of Chaos by Public Enemy, he was anti-black. He had a pro-apartheid patch on his shirt, so he's like, hey, separation. His friends claimed he was a segregationalist, and then he went in the church and said, they rape our women and they have to go, which is the basis, the core of most racist white belief is that brown people are going to fuck all the bitches and everybody's going to be brown. So they strap up and they want, get rid of everybody. But it sounds like a Jesus issue to me, not racist.
Is he a terrorist?
Fuck yes. It's not even a question. That's a stupid question to me. Is he a terrorist? Of course. He went to a church and let one person live to tell the story. Yeah, he's a terrorist.
Spirit G, what you think? Was it an attack on black people or an attack on Christianity?
Definitely an attack on black people, in my opinion, because there are white Christians and he didn't attack them. It had nothing to do with Christianity. It had to do with and like Latone said, with him making the comment that, they're raping their women and whatnot. I mean, I think the oldest one that got killed was like 87. I don't like, what the fuck are you talking about? So it was definitely, to me, an attack on black people.
And Murray brought something interesting up: the Confederate flag. Is that a symbol of heritage or a symbol of hatred, and should it be taken down?
Honestly, with the Confederate flag, fuck the Confederate flag. I think now the only reason this is becoming an issue is because of what happened in South Carolina. You take the Confederate flag down, racism still exists.
Derek Below, I'm gonna go on to you. Is the Confederate flag a symbol of heritage or hatred, and should it be taken down?
Oh, yeah, well, our President Barack Obama said it should have a place in history, but just in a museum. So many country boys down here in Texas, colloquialism, it's kind of like in their history. They like to ride around with it, but it has a racist undertone to it, so they rely on saying, it's historical to kind of save their face so they don't have to seem like a racist when they ride around with it, So I think it should be took down because it is hatred.
Latone, your thoughts on it?
My thoughts are, number one, symbols are important. The mind will go to symbols before it goes to information to produce ideas or beliefs. But the Confederate flag is a symbol of treason. And I say this because you can look it up. It was never officially adopted by the Confederate Congress. It never was their official flag. It only became popular due to the KKK use of the flag. It was never the Confederate. I deal with these fucking bubbas every day talking about, oh, it's our heritage. No, it's not. The Confederate Army and the Confederate Congress never officially made it their flag. So, yes, it's a symbol of fucking racism and hatred, and it's walking around saying you're proud of the KKK. Yes, you should ban the shit.
Murray, come back in, man. I see you're back. So what's your thoughts on it? Confederate flag is a symbol of heritage or a symbol of hatred, and should it come down?
I live in the state. I've lived in a state where people think that the flag is heritage, and you got some people who think the flag is hatred. I think both. I don't know, that's kind of weird coming from a black guy that lives in South Carolina with a tragedy like what we just had, but I think both. Yes, it's history, which it needs to be in a museum with all the other history pieces. It's been used for hatred. The Ku Klux Klan has used it, and other supremacist groups are using the same flag. You have people that live here in the state riding around with it on pickup trucks, which is we took it off the top of the dome and we got it in your face now. And so, in my opinion, people can think whatever they want to think about this flag. It needs to be in a museum somewhere for folks to look at as a part of our legacy of the South. But far as it being used as a tool for hatred, yeah, it has to disappear. But that's probably not going to happen.
Latone, we're going to let you open this one up. Does Donald Trump have a shot in hell to be our next president?
Of course, man. We're in America where we idolize the wealthy. I can't tell you how many times somebody says something stupid, but they're rich and people listen, like Jay-Z. Plus, we celebrate idiots. We celebrate the Kardashians. Of course he has a shot. George W. Bush was president.
What you think, Spirit G? Do you think Donald Trump got a shot?
Yeah, of course. Like I agree with everything that Tom said, and then I'll also add to that the fact that he is a known Obama hater. So naturally, all the Obama haters are probably, migrate right to him.
What you think, Derek Below?
He has some good words on paper, but he got too many, I guess we could say off the field distractions, I don't know. He just got, too much business ties, all the bankruptcy to get his millions. I mean, he's part of the problem in the whole sense, so he can't be the solution and the problem. But, of course, he won't win. It'll come from the Bush-Clinton dynasty, of course.
Murray? Murray, don't go nowhere, man. I saw you going somewhere. What's your thoughts, man? Donald Trump, does he have a shot?
You don't want to answer this question.
Well, yes, he does.
Donald Trump is a joke, and you guys know it. Donald Trump has no idea what he's doing. He's talking about America needs to go back to the business way. I agree to somewhat a point, but him as a politician, are you serious? No. He's not going to do anything but bring us publicity for this 2016 presidential campaign. He's going to be great at pomp and circumstance. But as far as a presidential candidate, nah.
The question was about if we thought basically he had a chance to win, right?
A shot in hell.
A shot in hell. Okay, yeah. So, I mean, he ain't worth the shit as a politician. I think we all would agree on that. But as far as as far as him getting elected into office, I didn't think George Bush was worth the shit as well. But he got elected twice.
Yeah, I didn't think George W. Bush had
Trump is unelectable. Trump is totally unelectable. Who would elect Trump?
What was the question?
A lot of
He
people.
said, who would elect Trump? He said, Trump is unelectable. Who would elect Donald Trump?
We're America, man. We idolize the rich.
I mean, we mentioned that Bush got in, but you have to understand that George W. Bush came in on the heels of his father being president shortly before that. So there was some legacy there that people could latch on to. We don't have that with Donald Trump. With Donald Trump, what we have there is a legacy of "you're fired" on The Apprentice. So I have to kind of go on that side of it. But that, folks, brings our first round to an end. On the scoreboard, I've got Latone Hart ahead with 12 points.
Damn.
I've got Murray Riley Jr. in second with 10 points. I've got Derek Below in third place with 9 points. And Spirit G, this is where you exit. Hopefully you can come back again one time. Any last words?
No, happy Father's Day, y'all. I gotta go anyway, so it's good.
Hey, Spirit G, before you go, give us a plug for your show. Where can we find you, and tell us more about it?
You can find me on iTunes, on Stitcher, on Facebook, all under the G Spot Podcast Network. That's GEE Spot. It's the home of the Hoopla Show, basketball podcast I do with my sister Storm, as well as the Fair Game podcast I do with a bunch of other people who are drinking with.
And you got a new website that you just put up. Tell us about it.
Yes, sir. www.thegspn.com. Check us out on there. We're actually about to go live as well in the next week or two for both shows. So you can check all that out on that website as well.
All right. Well, thanks for joining the Spirit G of the Hoopla Show, the G Spot Podcast Network. Y'all make sure y'all check him out, man. Peace out, man. And on that note, I just want to say you, sir, are muted. He's out of there. We move on to round 2. Y'all ready? All right. So we're down to round 2. We're down to 3 contestants left. That's Latone Hart, Murray Riley Jr., and Derek Below. They have a little bit of room to make up, but there's only 3 points separating first, third right now. We're going to kick it off with the man that is leading the pack, Latone Hart. We're going to go back to Dylan Roof because that has been the biggest story of the week by far, and I didn't want to waste a whole first round with all of the opinions and waste them all on one topic. But this second round, we're going to stick to it. So Dylan Roof was escorted from his home in a bulletproof vest. Now, there was a Facebook post that went out. I put it on my page. I got it actually from someone else's page that compared him being escorted from his home in a bulletproof vest to Eric Garner being choked out and choked to death on a sidewalk over selling cigarettes. Is that a fair comparison?
Of course it's a fair comparison. I mean, the U.S. is stolen by whites for whites. I mean, that's basically it. We protect white people. We criminalize and we hurt black people. I mean, this fool has a $1 million bail for killing 9 people. Bobby Shmurda has a $2 million bail, and he didn't kill nobody. So, bang, right there, you can see it in practice that this is for whites and by whites, man. There's no way in hell him and the Colorado Batman shooter, there's no way they would have been taken alive if they weren't white.
Derek Below, what you got to add? What's your take? Do you think that's a fair comparison?
Well, somewhat. I mean, you got to think of the big picture. You know, Dylan is technically still being accused of the charges. So, of course, they didn't want him to get killed and taken away. You know, it's a lifelong story of what he going to tell in jail or whatnot. But, you know, Eric Garner was no stranger to the police and a big dude. So, of course, they had to give him excessive force. But, I mean, if you're looking through, you know, just a black point of view, it said that the killer survived the story, man.
What you think about it, Murray Riley Jr., was that a fair comparison? Dylan Roof being escorted from his home in a bulletproof vest, and the picture next to it being Eric Garner choked out on a sidewalk over selling cigarettes.
Actually, I had a whole lot of people see that photo on Facebook, and everybody was pretty much upset that this kid got a chance to walk into a jailhouse with a bulletproof vest on. Eric Garner died. As far as I'm concerned, if it had been a black guy who killed these 9 people, he wouldn't be alive today. He would be dead. So what's the point? They picked this kid up and flew him back to South Carolina. So as far as I'm concerned, no comparison. Eric Garner died. This kid is alive. He's going to be alive for your trial. Eric Garner's not even here, period.
And Eric Garner was accused of selling cigarettes.
Exactly. That's the point.
The DC sniper was black. He killed 12 people in this.
Michael Dorner, they burnt his ass up.
All right, so let's go on to the next question. The judge in the Dylan Roof case opened up the case with a plea for everyone to think about and consider the family of Dylan Roof, calling them the victims as well. Was he or was he not out of bounds? Derek, below.
Well, I mean, of course, you got to understand the amount of people that's going to be viewing this case. I mean, everybody's worried about it. So he's just trying to seem non-biased by trying to get other people to realize that he is sensitive to the other person and not just going to say he's automatically guilty. And supposedly there's all kind of little stuff. He called people niggas in the court and all that, but that's still hearsay till I read it. You know, I see the video of it, but he's just trying to be non-biased. But he don't want a race riot or any kind of Ferguson situation in this town, so it'll be guilty. He'll be gone.
Murray Riley Jr. was the judge out of bounds for opening the case with a plea for everyone to consider the family of Dylan Roof.
He was way out of bounds. This judge saw favor in this kid the moment he laid eyes on him. He was a white kid. If it had been a black kid, a black person, he wouldn't have had favor for this suspect. The way this went down is this judge showed favor. He had to recuse himself from this case. I'm glad he's being removed. Was he out of bounds? Of course he was.
LaTone Hart, judge out of bounds or not?
Of course, man. We live in the social media world where opinion is strong. And that's not a judge's job. A judge's job is to listen to the facts, allow the jury to come to a verdict, and then, sentence or let him go. It's just like a journalist. You're not supposed to put conjecture in there or your opinion in there or anything. You're just supposed to listen to the facts. That's all. He's basically on Team Dylan. So, of course, it was out of bounds. But white people know the code. They know the code. We protect our own. Maybe brothers need to start learning the code.
Exactly.
Family members of the slain victims were consistent with forgiving Dylan Roof for his actions. Murray Riley Jr., if you were a family member of one of the victims of this case, when you got that opportunity to speak to Dylan Roof, what would have been your response?
Truthfully speaking, they would have had to come in there and get me off of him, because we all try to live a Christian life. Everybody does. But when you're angry, you're angry. Yes, you're supposed to show restraint. You're supposed to show compassion. But in a situation like this, where it happened in the church, where everybody was doing something in peace, in a peaceful manner, and to have somebody wipe them out without any forethought, I just think I would have just had this kid they had to come get me. Sorry. I try to be a Christian, but in this aspect, I ain't going to be a Christian. You would have to come get me.
LaTone Hart, what would have been your response for Dylan Roof?
Well, I'm not a Christian, number one, but I do like the Old Testament. I got to say like this. I'm black and I'm an American, and I look at the American character as my character. I look at when Pearl Harbor was attacked, which was a military base, we dropped 2 atom bombs on Japan. I look at when the World Trade Center was destroyed, we had an 11-year war. So if Dylan Roof hurt someone in my family, I'm trying to find the family tree and uproot that motherfucker. I'm not with this let's be friends and kumbaya. Sometimes the flock needs a wolf, and I'll be the wolf.
Derek below. Family members were consistent with forgiving Dylan Roof for his actions. What would have been your response to Dylan Roof?
Yeah, I do agree with my man. I mean, I am a Catholic growing up, but I don't know, man. I've done some research in the King James Version. It's a little tricky. But to get on to this point, you got to remember that the victims are churchgoers. So that's what they push in church, for you to kind of, forgive the better man and turn the other cheek or whatnot. So it's kind of tricky, because if people start packing at church, how can you praise and be ready to kill at all times? I don't know. I wouldn't have forgave him.
I don't see self-defense as unintelligent. I mean, you should always defend yourself. I think, get a couple brothers they won't hire with shotguns and sit them up in front with the pastor.
Well, you know what?
Hey, that brings silence to a whole new level. Hey, you didn't put nothing in the basket.
That is actually not very far-fetched. I have been in a church when I joined the security team of the church, and I was really surprised at how many guns are in the church. The person sitting beside the pastor was armed. They know where all of the armed members of their security team are placed strategically around the church. You're absolutely right. A lot of money, if it's a big church, a lot of money is passing hands. Trust me, there are weapons following the money.
What immediately comes to mind in this situation is you think about Creflo Dollar, who has the World Changers Church in Atlanta. I haven't been there, but I have heard people talk about armed guards being there. I've heard about the Atlanta Police Department patrolling there in situations when he's in town. I don't know when he's not in town, are they still there? But I know there's money that flows in and out of the World Changers Church, and I'm pretty sure they have armed guards still.
I'm not talking on that level, but you're absolutely right, Murray. I mean, on something on Creflo Dollar's level, and I have been there. It's an absolute cathedral, and I have been to Joel Osteen's church, which is actually literally used to be the stadium for the Houston Rockets. We're talking about enormous facilities. Yeah, those are different. Those absolutely they have cops on hand. Mm-hmm. But I'm speaking on just a regular, normal, medium to big-sized church where they have members of the church that you don't know are part of the security team that are actually armed inside. This occasion is probably going to create more of that.
I think it would be wise, man. It would be wise, man, because it's a deterrent. You know, most people are thinking, hey, I could just go into church and kill everybody. But if there's a deterrent, hey, I may get shot myself. It's a good idea.
Yeah, it needs to happen. But I was thinking about how this thing came across, and the president of the NRA came out and said that the murders of these individuals could be blamed on the senator from South Carolina who was killed by not voting for concealed weapons to be in churches. And I just think that's crazy. This was a pastor. He stuck to his principles. He wasn't going to just compromise his principles and have weapons in his church. You know, even though in a situation like what happened, I agree that the guns would have been a deterrent, but what happened was just totally off the scale. Who knew this kid was going to do this? None of us knew this kid was going to do this. It happened.
Hey, Derek Below.
Hey.
Yeah, one last chance, man, because this is very close. So they got in some last words on a topic that was beyond the topic. So I'm going to ask you for a last chance to save yourself. You're only down by a point. You only need 1 point to stay in this. I have a question for you based on what Murray Riley just brought up.
Okay.
Do you think the answer is gun control or more guns?
Well, the big picture on that is, I feel the laws are fine, but we got to remember that guns in the wrong people's hands is what kill people. I mean, they got weapons. They got different class of automatic weapon licensing. They got all kind of different concealed and open carry stuff on tables in many states. But also, those are the same states that offer Confederate flags on the personalized license plates for your vehicle. So it's kind of tricky. It's like the more we get armed, they get armed. So it's kind of a catch-22 to say that more guns will make things better, but stronger gun control will make it hard for some people who really qualify for it to not qualify based on some little check being checking the box situation that knocks him out of getting a chance to get that permit.
All right, well, Latone Hart, you are into the final round. I've got a deadlock right here between Murray Riley Jr. and Derek Below, and they're both only 1 point behind. So, Derek, why do you deserve to go to the finals instead of Murray?
There's nothing wrong with my brother Murray, man. I think they probably, if you're looking at the camera, you probably rather see somebody's face than somebody's eyeballs and stuff like that. But on top of that,
this will not be broadcast or visually. This is going to be a podcast, an audio-only podcast.
Hey, but,
so that was not legitimate. Derek Below, you are out of here. That was a bad reason for you to come up with.
That was funny, man.
And now on to the final round. Murray Riley, you need to unmute yourself. It is going to be Murray Riley Jr. against Latone Hart. Derek, I'm sorry, I muted you. Unmute yourself, and let's get some last words for you.
I will say this. Nola Jal is white. She can never be black, no matter what type of job she applied for. You can't go to Howard, then sue Howard for being white, and you can't get in your groups. And then you get in your groups and then praising with people all on the front lines. But on top of that, man, just love yourself, love our people, man. Don't feel like you got to vote a certain way because your grandfather did, you know what I'm saying?
You have a program called DB Unlimited TV. Tell us more about it. Where can we find it?
Okay, well, the website is www.dbunlimited, like Dog Boy Unlimited.tv. But I do all kind of coverage coverage, car shows across Texas, all kind of music events, plays. There's a lot of the black things that go on here in Houston that don't really get too much mainstream coverage, and all sorts of, conspiracy theory topics out here, we try to get a hold on.
All right. Well, I thank you for joining me, Derek Below. You're welcome to hang around until it's over, and or you can be like Spirit G and be out. He had to be out, so he won't be joining us at the end, but you are welcome to hang around and see how this plays out. You're out of here. On to the final round between LaTone Hart of the 730 Show and Murray Riley Jr. of the Sky Shout Radio Podcast. Two of my favorite shows, by the way. So we're going to get on. We're going to start this off with something a little lighter. Tiger Woods missed the cut for the second straight event in a row. What has happened to his game? LaTone, I know you can't wait to go in. So no further ado, what's your take?
You know what? I didn't even know Tiger was still playing. But once I saw the question, I was like, oh, damn, he's still playing and he's still losing? One reason. There's no greater power than belief. When that white girl beat his ass with a 9-iron and then white people stopped worshiping him, he started to doubt himself. So now he gets up there and he can't even play putt-putt. I beat his ass at miniature golf now because he don't believe himself. He doesn't believe in himself anymore. I'm Caplinasian, and I can't make a fucking putt.
And Murray Riley Jr., what happened to Tiger Woods, man?
He lost his moxie. I think the woman took away his moxie. And usually when a woman takes away a man's moxie, he can't focus on anything. Tiger came here to Augusta, and, he had a good round, and everybody was talking about him. And, he was on the come up. I guess that wasn't the case. And now he's back down to earth with us normal folks.
All right. Well, it seems like that was a rehash of LaTone's answer, and LaTone's was funnier, so he gets the point for that one. You out of 3, so you better come strong now, or this puppy is going to be over. Murray, I'm going to let you go first on this one. Do you have an issue with Rachel Dolezal pretending to be black?
I sure do. And the reason why I have an issue with her pretending to be black, and she's former president of the NAACP, she actually compromised the organization by pretending to be black, and she knew she had a white agenda all along. And that just made it tougher for everybody who wanted to come into the group thinking that she was concerned for black issues when she knew she was white all along in the first place. And so when things got heated, she would come out with that conjecture like most white folks do anyway. They try to turn a bad into a good, especially when it's a white person involved. I live in Aiken County where we have a white NAACP president, and it just compromises the whole thing about what the NAACP stands for.
LaTone Hart, do you have an issue with Rachel Dolezal pretending to be black?
Yes, because I dislike blackface in small or large doses. That's why I say fuck Justin Timberlake, fuck Eminem, and maybe fuck Hall & Oates. I mean, you can't wear my heritage as a Halloween costume. I mean, it comes with a burden and it comes with a resilience that you can never understand. So, yeah, I got a problem with it.
Wow, 2 great answers. I got to say, I really like the Halloween costume line. That was awesome. She says that her father is not her real father. Should they go on Maury Povich's show and find out? What do you think, LaTone?
Oh, of course they should go on there. Of course, man. And of course, he will not be the father. And Tyrone will come out there. And then everybody, oh, no, I'm thinking some bullshit. Don't nobody want to see that. She just really wanted some black dick. I mean, there's easier ways to get it.
Murray Riley Jr. Should they go on Maury Povich and find out if she's the father?
It'll be great entertainment. Just go right ahead and get it done. I would love to say Maury say he's not the father. So why not?
That one is too close to call, so I'm going to give it to Murray just so we can have one last question. So this is it. This is do or die. We come down to the final question of the show. LaTone, I'm tossing it to you. What should be the punishment for the pool party cop, or is being out of a job punishment enough?
You talk about T.J. Hooker? This motherfucker rolling around on the ground in the suburbs. I think he should have to organize and be the keynote speaker at the Million Man March 2015, which is in Kingston, Jamaica. That's what I think his punishment should be.
What do you think, Murray?
Well, he's already resigned his position as a police officer. I think he should be prosecuted for police brutality against a 14-year-old child. I was destroyed by watching this guy with his knee in his child's neck and in her back. With all the other police brutality in America, he just added to my list of the reason why I hate white cops.
Amen.
Wow, 2 really good answers. Okay, so Murray, if you win, what is your final word going to be about?
Well, my final word for the day is that we as a nation within a nation, we have to come together and support our black leadership as we go through.
All right, I ain't asking you all that. Latone, what's going to be the topic of your final soliloquy if you win?
What's going to be the title of my soliloquy is that white men are crazy.
You know what? I want to hear about white men being crazy. So the winner of our inaugural episode is Latone Hart. Before you get started, Murray Riley Jr., tell us where we can find you. Tell us, plug your show right now.
You can find the Scott Shot Radio podcast on Speaker.com. We have 3 shows that we feature. We do Our Voice, Our Community on Saturdays. We do political news and views. The choice is yours on Sundays after the church hour. And then we do the midweek news and views show on Wednesdays at 7 o'clock. So you can find me there on Skype on the Speaker.com, and you can find me on Twitter at StumpandShout14.
Murray Riley Jr., you put up a valid effort. Thank you for joining us. On that note, you, sir, out of here. Latone Hart, the floor is yours. Let's hear what you have to say about the crazy white man.
How do you improve relations in America? Kill all the men who identify as white, and that includes Caitlyn Jenner. Because if you go to Egypt and you look at the Sphinx, the nose is gone. Why? Because some crazy white man was there. When you hear tomorrow that a bank was shot up, it's probably because some crazy white man lost his 401k. White men are crazy. Look at it. I can't even enjoy a good rock and roll record anymore because white men came along and started screaming and everything, and nobody can bang a good Chuck Berry record anymore. White men are crazy. You want to help America? Let's lock all the white men up, man. We'll get rid of all the guns, and everybody can have a good time and stay on beat at parties. White men are crazy. Let's improve America.
And that's it, man. Derek, Murray Riley Jr., you can unmute yourselves again and join back in. I want to thank you guys for joining us and being a part of our inaugural episode of The Unusual Suspects. You guys were great. I want to thank you for joining me. I hope you enjoyed yourself.
Oh, yeah. I want to hear that final show myself.
You guys are welcome to come back and be a part of the show again because we will be doing this with an assortment of panelists each week right here on the What Up Doe Entertainment Network. Thanks again for joining us, each and every one of you. Our winner, once again, of the first show is Latone Hart of the 730 Show. Latone, you're the only one that didn't get to plug your show. Did you want to plug it?
Yes, the 730 Show, which has been on hiatus for a while because my electricity was cut off. But, I'm working on making some payments, and we're going to be back soon. Also, I'm on the Pod of Thrones. If you enjoy Game of Thrones, it's kind of my obsession. I'm talking about it there. And sometimes on the news at night, I'm on Crime Stoppers. So make sure you check me out there.
There it is. And I tell you what, I'm going to say something about the 730 Show on Stitcher.com. Even though he's on hiatus, if you are not familiar with this show, get caught up and go check in, dig into the archives. One of the best podcasts online. Right there is the 730 Show, so make sure you check that out. And that's all I got, man. I'm your boy T. Wilson, and I am checking out on behalf of my panelists today. I got Latone Hart, I got Murray Riley Jr., I got Derek Below, and already departed, went out first round like a G, Spirit G of the Hoopla Show. And that's all I got. Thanks for joining Unusual Suspect. And we out of here. Peace.
Thanks for the opportunity.